Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session created for a client that had a fear of birds, and specifically a fear of pigeons. And she'd had this for many, many years, and there is this principle called the law of dominant effect. And what the law of dominant effect really says is that you can't experience two different emotions at the same time. And obviously a phobia or a deep fear is linked to the emotion of anxiety. So if you're feeling curiosity or humour or something else like gratitude or empathy, you're not also simultaneously feeling anxiety. So this hypnosis session uses certain levels of disassociation to give it a different perspective. It uses distance, which is one of the key variables that tend to relate to phobias. For most people that have a physical phobia of an object or an animal, the closer it is, the more that the anxiety is heightened. There is a metaphor of a dimmer switch, so that the client was aware that anxiety is a variable. It's not binary, you have it or you don't. It is this kind of levels of, they call it a subjective unit of distress. So there's levels that it can get higher and lower. And all of these are important things to empower them to notice when it is getting less anxious and when they're feeling different emotions. Now, having a fear of pigeons is quite a specific fear. And this is designed to connect to different ways of thinking, different perspectives and different associations with pigeons to change how this client was feeling. But if you don't have a fear of pigeons, you could listen to this and think of something that you do have a fear of, and then link the suggestions, kind of update them in your mind as you're listening to them to make it relevant to your fear, or just treat it as inspiration that if this lady can change how she feels about pigeons, then you can probably change how you feel about whatever is triggering anxiety within you. It is very specific to pigeons, so if you do like the idea of changing something that you are afraid of, there will be a link in the description where you can book a completely free consultation call. We can have a chat, and then I can explain how I would work with you directly to deal with whatever your phobia or anxiety may be. However, if you do have a fear of birds, pigeons, or a similar kind of fear, this session may be useful for you. So find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in that slow, long, relaxing breath. And as you exhale, feel the wonderful sense of release. As any tension, stress or worries, particularly around your eyelids, starts to melt away and leave your body in that outward breath. Breathing in relaxation and exhaling tension. And the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you become. And the more relaxed you become, the deeper and deeper relaxed you start to feel. Breathing in relaxation, exhaling tension, as you feel how wonderful it feels to start letting go. That's it. Letting go of tension, of thought, of anything unnecessary right now. And with every breath, you feel yourself releasing old beliefs, old associations, but also sensations connected to not the reality of your present, but an echo of your past. That's it, feeling deeper and deeper relaxed. That's it. Scan your body for any clues of tension. And notice that by setting the intention to let go, there, in every outward breath, you're releasing more and more of that tension now. Notice with your eyes closed how wonderful it feels to drift even deeper inward into the kind of place where change is natural, the kind of place where release feels effortless. That's it, drifting, perhaps even feeling like you're floating. That's it. Perhaps you can remember an inflatable balloon from your childhood, how it would rise upwards. And just imagine that's how your head is feeling, like an inflatable balloon on a string, requiring no effort or tension, and therefore releasing all of the tension around your neck and your shoulders, giving you the ability to go even deeper now, deeper, gently, into the calmness of your own inner world. And I want you to think of a favorite park. Maybe it was a park from your childhood, or maybe it's a park that you love visiting now. And take the power of your imagination and imagine how good it would feel to be in that park on a sunny day with blue skies. And there's a calm, safe feeling in the air. I want you to get a sense that in this park, it's not really you, just your imagination. So anything here in this park are figments of your imagination. Here, birds aren't real, just ideas in your mind. Because they're ideas in your mind, you can give them new meanings and new feelings. And I want you to think of a time when you felt curious, so curious. The look of something created intrigue and interest. So while you're in that park, I want you to see there off in the distance, very far away, is just a lonely looking pigeon, just pecking at crumbs on the ground. And they're minding their own business. This pigeon is playful, harmless, silly, no threat to anyone. And as you observe them from this safe distance, you begin to notice something different about them. This is just your imagination after all. Something unexpected happens. I want you to imagine this pigeon pecking at the ground starts to talk. And perhaps they have a funny, silly, almost cartoonish little voice. They're joined by another pigeon and they start having a conversation. Maybe the new pigeon asks, do they mind sharing these snacks they have? They talk about how delicious these crumbs are on the floor in silly, playful voices. And what once was a source of anxiety or distress now becomes a playful interaction that you're simply watching. Imagine one of the pigeons starts talking about dancing, and the other pigeon looks surprised, almost unconvinced, and says that they would like to see their dance moves. You're just watching as two pigeons are having a conversation, and one of the pigeons starts to dance. Imagine the dance moves that it makes. But instead of being impressed, the other pigeon finds it hilarious. And imagine the other pigeon laughing. Not in a mean way, but they just can't stop themselves from laughing. It's the funniest thing they've seen. And as you see that pigeon laugh, you start to smile. As it dawns on you, these aren't frightening creatures. These are silly, funny, playful creatures with round bellies and curious eyes. I want you to get a sense that maybe in the past you thought of them as flying rats, and you realized that that was never the right description. These funny, cute little things are more like flying bunny rabbits or squirrels with wings. They're not dangerous. They're not watching, and they're not threatening. They're just living their lives with a sprinkle of clumsiness and a whole lot of personality. In the past, you categorized all pigeons as being some kind of universal entity. But from this point onwards, you will see them as distinct personalities. Some are arrogant and some are shy. Some are extroverted and talkative, and others are quiet. Some are young and naive, and some are old and tired. You will notice what makes them unique. And you don't have to like them or even want them close. But you will start to see them not as a collective, but as lots of individual pigeons with their own challenges, their own problems, their own stories. And now, as you feel relaxed in this safe space within your imagination, imagine that you begin to notice something like a shift, a deeper shift taking place within you. I want you to imagine that any ideas that birds are watching you starts to feel silly and ridiculous. They're more concerned about other pigeons, sources of food. They're too busy being birds to care what you're up to. And if there's any ideas that they're moving towards you, chasing you, following you, or getting close to you on purpose, allow that to dissolve, to disappear into nothingness, as you get a sense that you are invisible to almost all the pigeons. You would only appear on their radar if you either had food for them or you represented a danger to them. But if you're not there to feed them or harm them, they would be the equivalent of one stranger in a crowd. Don't take it personally. You're just not that important to them. But that feels like a sense of relief. They have no agendas, no bad intentions. Sometimes they might be curious if you have food, or confused, and sometimes they're just random. I want you to feel that you are updating the filter, the lens in which you see pigeons. Imagine seeing them as they truly are. Innocent, playful, sometimes even goofy and clumsy, but never malicious. And I want you to think that if you were hungry, no reliable source of food, maybe you would prioritize going to the places where you thought you might get a few scraps of food just for your survival. And from this point forwards, whenever you see a bird now, especially a pigeon, imagine hearing a funny little voice in your mind saying something like, "Hey there, just passing through. Places to be, crumbs to eat." And maybe you have a conversation back to them. Give them that funny, cartoonish voice. And the more you personify these clumsy, goofy birds, the more you're reminded what a difficult life they have. And isn't it a positive thing for people to have challenging, difficult lives, to still have a positive outlook? And if that's true for a human, it's equally true for a bird. Clumsy, goofy, silly, doing their best to survive. And whenever you use your imagination to make them even more silly or playful or harmless, the quicker you will let go of any echoes of anxiety, because you could imagine them with colourful hats, carrying an umbrella or a monocle, silly shoes or a briefcase even. And when you start thinking of them as silly, ridiculous, notice how difficult it is to feel any anxiety at all. Humour melts fear. And when you imagine them in a funny way, with silly voices, or dancing, or perhaps trying to sing, whenever you smile seeing a pigeon, either in your imagination or real, you are melting away fear. And every time you laugh, a little more fear just fades away, drifting off like a feather in the wind. And something you know to be true is that you love animals. And birds are animals. And if it's your nature to love animals, then it means that you can have, if not love, then appreciation for them too. As you feel calm and safe and free. And when you think of what you used to believe, that old belief that they're scary or dangerous or even watching you, that belief was never really yours. It was borrowed from a moment, from a thought, a memory from your past. And you can visit the past when you think of a memory, but that doesn't mean that you live there. You live in the present, and you now see clearly. Birds are just a part of the world, struggling to survive. And they're not enemies, and they're not threats. They're just a part of nature, feeding on flies and horrible insects, or the kind of food that would rot if something didn't eat it. Consider them spring cleaning your environment. And because you want to feel in harmony with nature, you can respect that they also exist on the same planet that you share with them. And they've got different priorities to you. But in the same way that you can pursue your goals, they can pursue theirs. Even if their goal is simply to survive and maybe reproduce. And from this point forwards, I want you to feel liberated, free to walk through parks, to enjoy outdoor cafes, to travel to any city in the world that you choose, to live your life fully and freely. Because all birds, especially pigeons, no longer have any emotional hold over you. They're just birds, and you're just you. I want you to imagine a dimmer switch, the kind of switch that makes a light go bright or all the way down. And there was a time when being in close proximity to a pigeon would make that anxiety light and bright, but not anymore. No sensation in your chest, no change to your breathing. Even the inner dialogue is becoming more playful and silly. I want you to imagine there in that park, the pigeon gets a little closer, still with those imaginary belongings and that silly voice. But even if it's close, I want you to imagine that the anxiety is just a dim flicker, so low on that dimmer switch of anxiety that it almost seems insignificant. And before long, the fear will be gone entirely. And a pigeon will feel no different to any other animal. From this point on, whenever you see a pigeon or think about a pigeon, you will feel calm. Maybe you'll smile as you remember those silly voices and silly belongings they have. Or maybe you get curious. Try and wonder its age, where it lives, what it does on that day, or imagine what it would look like to dance for you. And if one comes close, the smile will happen all by itself. And maybe you'll think, that's just a flying little bunny, probably wondering if there's some food nearby. Your breathing will stay steady. Your mind will stay grounded. And your body will remain calm and relaxed. In fact, you'll notice, after each time you encounter a bird, particularly a pigeon, that you'll feel even stronger, even prouder of how far you've come. Because this is not about birds. This is about freedom. And now you are free. And before we return to the present, I want you to imagine a city with a big piazza, plaza or square. And imagine how good it would feel to walk around, not caring if there's pigeons there or not. Feel a sense of ambivalence. That if you see them, you just imagine that they're just background noise, or silly playful creatures, clumsy creatures with silly voices. And the more you think of that, the truer it becomes. They just don't bother you anymore. But it's time to leave these places in your imagination and return all the way back to the here and the now. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Connect and calibrate into the here and the now. That's it. As very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. And you will awaken feeling that you've moved on from those thoughts and beliefs that were never true. That you see pigeons as somewhat different now. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.